Part 4.
The timeline of deaths and suicides that surround Cecil Hotel. In May 1939, 39-year-old Erwin C. Nelbert, Navy officer, was found dead in his room after ingesting poison. For this death there is a trigger warning. It is a bit disturbing, so if you don't like them things, watch one of my other videos. On the 8th to 9th of September 1944, 19-year-old Dorothy Jean Purcell was sharing a room at the Cecil with her boyfriend, 38-year-old Ben Levine. Dorothy, unaware that she was pregnant, she went into labour, and because she didn't want to wake her boyfriend, she went into labour and gave birth to the baby all alone in the bathroom. Thinking that the baby had been born dead, she threw him out of the window. He landed on a nearby roof. She was later charged with murder, but then 3 psychologists testified that she was mentally unstable, mentally confused at the time of the incident. So in January 1945, she was found not guilty. Reason being insanity. So then on the 10th of November 1947, a 35-year-old Robert Smith died after jumping from the 7th floor window of the Cecil Hotel. Then on February the 11th, 1962, 50-year-old Julia Frances Moore jumped from the window of the 8th floor and landed on the 2nd story light well. She didn't leave a suicide note, but among her possessions were tickets from St. Louis and 59 cents of change. Her bank book showed a balance of $1,800. So now we have another truly shocking death to happen in the Cecil Hotel. 27-year-old Pauline Otten jumped from the window of her 9th floor after a massive argument with her estranged husband. He had left the room, and that's when Pauline jumped from the window and landed on someone beneath her. She had killed them both instantly. At first, the police had thought it was a double suicide, but then noticed that George had his hands in his pockets and he was still wearing his shoes. If he had jumped, his hands would not have been in his pockets and his shoes would not have been on. So trying to commit suicide, she also killed someone at the same time. It's really tragic. Now we have Pigeon Goldie. On June the 4th, 1964, a hotel worker discovered the 65-year-old hired telephone operator dead in her room. She had been raped, stabbed and beaten, and her room was ransacked. Pigeon was well known around the area. She had a nickname because she had fed the birds in a nearby square. Always wore a paper sack full of bird seed. Would just feed the birds. Hours after murder, there was a guy walking around the square covered in blood. He was later cleared of the crime, which means his case is still unsolved to this day. Now, the next death was in 1975 on the 20th of December. 23-year-old woman, unidentified still to this day, jumped from the 12th floor window of the hotel. Had checked into the hotel on the 16th of December and was staying in room 327. Then on September the 1st, 1992, the body of an African man was found in the alley behind the Cecil Hotel. He said he had either fallen, jumped or been pushed from the hotel's 15th floor. The 20 to 30-year-old male had never been identified. Now, this next death is the most famous to happen at the hotel. Yes, it is the case of Elisa Lamb. Elisa Lamb, a 21-year-old Canadian student, was found inside one of the water tanks on top of the Cecil Hotel's roof. When she was found, she was naked. She had actually been missing for 3 weeks. So, on January the 31st, 2013, her decomposed body was discovered by a hotel maintenance worker in one of the roof water tanks after the guests had been complaining that the water had been slightly discoloured and tasting really weird and really bad water pressure. So basically, Lisa Lamb was found in a water tank where the hotel guests were drinking from. They were drinking like the water that surrounded her dead body. I mean, I can't imagine that. That would haunt me for life. Shortly before her death, there was some video footage of her in a lift, acting strange. She was seen pressing lots of different lift buttons and looked to be hiding in the corners of the lift. This is actually some of the footage. This had apparently been doctored and edited. She was reported to have bipolar disorder and had been off her meds for a while. This death ended up being ruled out as an accidental drowning, but there are many conspiracies of this story, which I will go into on my next part. So please stay tuned for that. Now we're gonna delve into the last death at the Cecil Hotel. This was on June 13th, 2015. It's not that long ago really. A 28-year-old male body was found outside the hotel. Some say he may have committed suicide from jumping from the hotel, although it's still unsolved and no one knows what happened. Whether it was suicide, he was pushed, no one knows. I will delve into this story more on the next part.